So coasting is a term that I coined to help the OCD community understand that period where you're comfortable enough, you're suffering, but you're sort of comfortable enough going on each day, but the amount of energy needed to get better and improve further it leads to procrastination, because it feels like, oh, it's a bit too much at the moment, or so on. And so then what happens is the energy needed to move forward doesn't actually occur. So we end up staying in this position of coasting, where we're just going along the same as we are, maybe month upon month, year upon year, where we're comfortable enough in the suffering, but we've sort of lost hope and motivation for various reasons. The most common reasons being that you've most likely tried some different therapy of ERP and so on, and read a fair amount on the subject. But as we know, and all the work that I do is about, is showing that unless you have a deeper level of acceptance and understand how to break down those fears that are at the core there, it doesn't release. OCD kind of latches on like a limpet, and it doesn't release like that. So it's no wonder that people get to a position where they become they get into a position where they sort of start losing hope, or they just get comfortable in the suffering position they're in, and then they roll with that and they don't move forward. They're sort of lumping the suffering, so they can't move forward with the acceptance. They've just got the sort of weight of the suffering on their back, but they're comfortable enough in that suffering to not work further than that point at the moment, because there's not that push. Now, coasting can happen where we've tried a lot and then we get into that position, or it can happen because things around our environment are too comfortable. So most of my job is trying to change those things to encourage motivation and encourage change. And it's the same with like a business or with a job. Somebody has a job that doesn't necessarily require a huge amount of work done, they then get comfortable in that position, so they then won't do more work than that position because they're comfortable in the position they're at. So we see that a lot in various jobs in the world, where people get to a certain position in their job where they feel comfortable enough and they don't feel like they need to do more than, because the amount of work they're doing just keeps everything balanced enough as it is. So that's why for you to improve your careers, or any humans to improve their careers, to constantly be thinking, what can I do next? What can I move? So we're changing this position of comfort, because the comfort's where there's not development. And that's the same reason why people who often come from very tough backgrounds succeed a lot in their careers, because they've had that real push with no other way to move forward. So they've had to do it. And that's very much the same with OCD. People have to get better if they're really ill, because there's no other option. Now, when the problem comes in with coasting is we may have, for example, a family that's doing all our compulsions for us and loads of reassurance, so that can make us comfortable. So that person is not going to get out of their comfort zone. So I often have to work very close at getting the parents to back off and getting them to take risks and do exposures and so on. And so you have to change the framework around it, where it's often become too comfortable. Maybe never doing exposures, putting them off till another time, always saying I'm too busy, I've got too much on. I mean, 90% of people say that because they don't want to do something that doesn't feel very nice, that isn't very comfortable. Whereas they won't have a problem finding time for Netflix, even if it takes 5 hours a day, because that's more comfortable. Now, all of those things are comfort-based. Watching Netflix, playing computer games, sitting on our phones, they're all comfort, but they don't bring results. So we have to really think about what we're trying to achieve out of our life in terms of results in our career, in our social life, in dating, whatever, and more specifically here in relation to OCD.